hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here. And one phrase that you hear a lot these days, and I didn't really hear when I first became a therapist, is imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is where you feel like you don't quite belong, that you're going to get found out, that you're not really meant to be where you are. And there's some truth to that in the sense that whenever you're learning something new, you don't know, and you're not really meant to be there. But it's all about intention and integrity. A charlatan is someone that pretends to know more than they do and selling under false pretenses, whereas someone that is dedicated to getting good understands that in order to be good at anything, you need to be not good to begin with. And in martial arts, they call it a white belt mentality, this idea that you start at the beginning, but you learn and you improve and you get better and better. And I was working with a client that was doing some of the things that I do. They were a coach, and they were helping people in a particular area, and they were using some of the forms of online marketing that I use, things like webinars and funnels and producing content. And that could be really daunting if you've never done that kind of stuff before. So this encourages them to embrace the beginner's mentality that actually, even though they're very knowledgeable in their particular niche, all these other marketing related stuffs are also skills, because unfortunately, it's not always the most talented in a particular area that does the best. You need both talent and the ability, particularly in business, to find customers. So the marketing is as important as the technical skill. I consider myself a good hypnotherapist because I've worked with thousands of clients, but I also spend time learning about content generation and SEO and funnels and all of these things that can be useful to grow a business. Now, these things are quite useful, and this particular client wanted to have a thriving business. So if you can connect to the idea of either feeling like an imposter or feeling like in order to be successful in the area that you want to be successful, you've got to learn other skills to complement your core skills, this could be a very useful session for you. Now, it was created for an individual, therefore some of the references might be very, very suitable for them and not quite right for you. So if you like the idea of working with me, there is a suitability test that I have that you can find by clicking in the description. And I also have a webinar where a lot of the questions that people normally ask me before they work with me, things like, can I be hypnotized? Does it work for these kind of areas? These are all covered in that webinar, and there's some very special bonuses at the end as well. For now, though, I'd encourage you to find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be distracted or disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a wonderful feeling of calm relaxation. And as you exhale, feel a wonderful feeling of release. As if any pent-up tension, stress, worries, any emotions that are just slowing you down, give permission to let go, to allow them to leave your body in your outward breath. Breathing in relaxation, exhaling tension. Each breath facilitates deeper and deeper levels of calm tranquility and relaxation. As your body relaxes, your imagination awakens. And I want you to imagine seeing the ocean, calm ocean on a sunny day. And just imagine a rainbow there over the ocean. And yet surprisingly, no rain. It doesn't quite make sense, and yet it does. And as you look at the surface of the waves, they start to represent the chatter of your mind. But the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel, and the waves calm even more, until they become perfectly still, like a sheet of glass there in the ocean. And I wonder if you could imagine what it would be like as you wade into the water to see legs turning into a large fin. Imagine what it would feel like to be a mermaid, able to breathe underwater and to find the peace and tranquility beneath the waves. I want you to imagine swimming, perhaps to a reef, and just imagine you can find a place of calm tranquility, and you can breathe underwater just as you would on land. Breathing in relaxation, exhaling tension, each breath takes you deeper than the last. And here in this place in your imagination, you don't need to do anything. No need to think. No need to solve a problem. When you turn your attention inward, the world outside becomes less relevant, and the world inside becomes way more interesting. Any thoughts that pop up, you don't need to manage them or analyze them or find a use for them, because your unconscious mind is already working on your behalf. It has been, perhaps for longer than you realize. Even underwater, you can imagine the rise and fall of your breath, how the body knows things without needing to be reminded. You can't make your heart beat. You can't decide to stop breathing. Your body knows what needs to happen for you to survive. And there is a part within you, the part that holds all the pattern making and learning and deep knowing, that also operates the same way, to keep you safe, acting in your genuine interest. And I want you to imagine seeing a place deep within, imagine a place under the ocean, perhaps a trench, a deeper level of the ocean. And as I count down from 10 to 1, just imagine what it would be like to swim deeper down. 10, 9. Each level down, you release something that isn't yours to carry. 8, 7, 6. Any chatter of that inner critic becoming fainter. 5 and 4, the body feeling more at ease, more relaxed, more natural. 3, 2, 1. Now just imagine there's somewhere safe there at the bottom of the ocean. And I want you to imagine a room at the bottom of the ocean, a room of genuine knowing, where the evidence is all around you. And your unconscious can begin now to take it in. Because there's a voice, and you know the voice, that speaks at particular moments, usually just before something important, usually when something matters. And maybe it says, "Who do you think you are? What if they find out? You don't know what you're doing. What if I fall flat on my face? What if it goes wrong and everyone sees? But what if there's a truth to the intent? This is just information. It's evidence of your integrity, proof that you actually care. For you, it matters. It matters to help. Your credibility matters. Competency matters. That feeling of being an imposter, you don't get it in the charlatans, the cowboys, the con men. It exists in the people actually trying to help. Those frauds and charlatans, the people who genuinely don't know what they're doing, they almost never experience that imposter syndrome. Because you need a certain level of genuine depth to even recognize the gap between where you are and where you would like to be. It's not evidence of inadequacy. It's evidence of integrity. The signal of someone who takes their work seriously enough to feel the gravitas, the weight of it. And that is precisely the quality your clients want in you. Consider the clients you serve and will serve. They're not looking for someone perfect. They're looking for someone real. Someone who has navigated difficulty and emerged with something worth offering. Someone who understands from the inside what it really means to rebuild, especially a sense of self, after losing something. And you do not need to be at the end of your journey to be qualified to help someone who is earlier in theirs. guide doesn't need to have climbed every mountain. They need to know this mountain and to care about the person beside them. I want you to imagine seeing a picture in that room at the bottom of the ocean, a picture of a martial arts studio. Clean, spare, purposeful. And I want you to imagine a new student stepping onto the mat for the very first time. And they are wearing a white belt. And the white belt means something important. It means that they are there, that they have started, that they do not yet know what they are doing, and that's exactly as it should be. No one in the dojo, in that studio, looks at the white belt with contempt. The master, the sensei, does not shake their head in disappointment, and the other students do not judge. Because every single black belt in that room began exactly where this person is standing now. On their first day, uncertain, uncoordinated, fully a beginner. And the path from white belt to black belt is not a secret. It's not available only to the naturally gifted. It's available to anyone willing to do one specific thing. To stick with it. To stay on the mat. Return after the falls. To practice the thing that feels clumsy until it becomes fluent. And then practice it further until it becomes instinctive. And whether it's a martial art, or learning to dance, or learning to launch a webinar and build a funnel, it's all the same. You start where you are, and you get better. And whether it's that early webinar, a landing page, a video shared on social media, it all feels uncertain, uncomfortable, scary. Because it's outside of the comfort zone. All of it is uncomfortable for the beginner. It's all white belt work. And white belt work is not a problem to be solved. It's a stage to be honored. The necessary and irreplaceable foundation of everything that follows. Being bad at this now is not a failure. It's the ticket of entry to becoming exceptional. And if you're willing to pay the price for that ticket, let me know by nodding your head. And you've done this before. Whether it's learning how to edit audio, whether it's a complicated choreography, whether it's starting again after everything changed. Everything was unfamiliar until it wasn't. Certain things felt overwhelming and then felt well within grasp. Time after time in your past, even when It would have been easier to give up and walk away. You didn't. You've already proven that you can persist. Your unconscious mind can take this evidence, file it carefully, and apply it forward to everything that currently feels technically daunting. And I want you to imagine floating forwards to the future. I want you to imagine your 17th webinar, your 50th social media video, your 33rd landing page, your 10,000th lead, your 60th lead magnet. You will know more then than you know now. But all of that would be impossible if you don't persist and continue to learn, to do what needs to be done, especially if it feels difficult, daunting, complex. Future you will look back at you now with a sense of pride. You did the difficult things and got better and better. That future version of you will see someone with courage, the courage to show up before you were ready. And that courage is the thing that every future client will benefit from, even if they never really realize where it came from. Imagine being back in the room, no longer looking at that picture of the martial arts studio. But I want you to see a door that you never saw before in that room at the bottom of the ocean. And as you enter the door and close the door is now locked. You don't feel scared, it just occurs to you. You are in an escape room. A room full of puzzles and locks and clues and mechanisms. Codes, interlocking, linking, all designed so that solving one reveals the key to the next. And here's the interesting thing about escape rooms. The people who walk in expecting everything to be simple immediately become frustrated, because the frustration itself is the signal they found something worth solving. But some people walk into an escape room with a particular mindset. They look at complexity with something closer to curiosity than intimidation, who can hold several unsolved elements simultaneously without collapsing, who can follow a thread even when they don't know where it leads. And those people find the escape room stimulating, challenging, exhilarating. And that technical landscape of building that online business, the webinar platform, email automations, landing pages, even a strategy for LinkedIn and social media. Whether you build an audience organically or paying for adverts, all of it is an escape room. And all of it is solvable, one puzzle at a time. And you don't need to see the whole solution from just one perspective. No one who has ever solved an escape room did so by standing at the entrance until they could see every step. They solved the first clue, the first problem, and then they looked for the next clue, and then the next. And the first time in that escape room may take minutes or even an hour to escape. But if you found yourself in the exact same escape room, with the exact same puzzles, you would be out of the escape room in a couple of minutes. Because that's how they work. Once you know what to do, something challenging or impossible becomes easy. You do not need to understand the whole system before you begin. You simply need to find the next clue. Just the next one. And if you sit down at a computer and the interface is unfamiliar, or if the automation doesn't work as expected, or if there's some tech that has a new layer of complexity you hadn't anticipated, your mind can now move toward these moments with a spirit of curiosity and fascination. It's like an interesting puzzle. How do I solve this? And by solving this, I solve all future problems like it. And that feeling may used to be called overwhelm, intimidation, fear. But what if you recognize it for what it really is? A particular aliveness of a mind engaging with something that matters. A problem that is not yet solved, but something that, when solved, will be genuinely yours because you worked it out. And every puzzle you solve makes the next one easier, not because the puzzles get simpler, but because you become someone who solves puzzles. That skill, that identity, once established fully in the nervous system, becomes self-fulfilling. You end up seeking out complex problems because it feels good to solve them. And by doing so, you're building a moat around your business. Because the more difficult it is to create your business, then the more difficult it will be for anyone else to do what you're doing in the way that you're doing it. And I want you to imagine that your unconscious can hold a picture, a vision of your future. An image that makes all the technical complexity worth navigating. Because somewhere in the world right now, there is a person sitting with a specific kind of pain that comes from a relationship ending. Not just the sadness, but maybe disorientation, loss of identity, anxiety, uncertainty, the question of who are they now? And maybe they're online searching. Maybe they're looking for conversations with friends who want to help but don't quite understand the depth of it. They are motivated, they want help. And they're looking for someone who seems to really know this terrain. And the one thing standing between that person finding you is, will they find you when they start looking? Maybe there's a post on social media you haven't written yet, a webinar that doesn't exist yet, an email sequence that isn't quite finished yet. All because there's a platform that feels slightly too technical right now. Not forever, but just right now. And right now is a problem with a solution. Because every technical skill you build is a door that you open for someone who needs to find you. Your discomfort now is their access later. And think how elegant the model is. Someone discovers you, connects with you, and then you help them, perhaps for free. A piece of value that gives before it asks, that demonstrates your credentials, your value. And then, when they feel confident and comfortable with you, you make it easy for them to work with you. Maybe you coach them. Or maybe it's a digital representation of you, a recording, a course. And with each person transformed, the story spreads. A community builds, and the ripple widens. And the world on the other side of this temporary technical discomfort is one where you are doing the work you were built to do, reaching people around the world, free of a fear of judgment or shame, because it was a price worth paying. It's time to leave this room, taking these wonderful changes and new thoughts and ideas with you. You swim out of the room, rise to the surface, find yourself back on the shore, looking down at your feet and your legs and feeling a wonderful sensation of possibility. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose, and wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, connecting and calibrating into the here and the now, as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.